What's going on, guys? Dim here. We're here with another video bringing to you the 3 most important types of bottles that you should be looking for when you're digging, hitting antique stores, or hitting yard sales, or just picking in general. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright guys, for our first group of bottles, we have a very special group to me that I personally love to collect, poison bottles. So to get this started, we're going to start off with poison bottles that don't say poison. This is a big one, and most of these bottles, you gotta do your research. So like this one, this is an embalming fluid bottle. Nowhere on it does it say poison, but we know since it's embalming fluid, it is poison. Also, same thing with this one. I don't know if you can see on it, but it says pure mercury. Anything mercury, iodine, anything poisonous like that, it's going to be considered a poison. Also, odd-shaped bottles like this one. This one says McCormick. I've seen these with labels, and majority of the time, these are some type of like poison or something of that nature, sulfuric acid, something. But those are like the harder ones to find. Those are the ones you gotta do more research to figure out. Another cool one is this one. It also comes in blue. This is like a venereal medicine, also considered a poison. So let's move down the list here. Now we got the ribbed poisons. Now I brought these two out just to show you that they can be multiple colors. So this one's blue, this one's brown. The blue one is the more common one. So a lot of the poison bottles you see, they can come in multiple colors and multiple variations. So you got to pay attention to that. Of course, some colors and variations are rarer than others, like this beautiful lattice design. This one comes in multiple different sizes, of course the smallest being the common and the biggest being the rarest, but yep, just a beautiful lattice design. And they did this so when you were grabbing it at night, you could tell that it was a poison bottle. Same thing with this one. This one's a huge, just giant, beautiful poison bottle made by PD and Company. Just a nice, and they come in all different shapes and sizes too, so just because it's a small bottle or a bigger bottle doesn't necessarily mean that it could or could not be a poison. The poisons can be big, small, odd shaped. They can be any sizes. You just gotta look for the key things like ribs, poison, or if you do your research, you would know like the bottles like this. You would know that they're poison through your research. Also, like this one, a lot of these would contain iodine. This would be mainly like poison, and it would have a label on it, but it wouldn't say poison. So just a few things to look out for. Alright guys, now we're on to another one of my favorites, druggist and medicine bottles. And here I'm going to try to go a little bit more in depth because this is a little bit more specific. But a lot of the colored medicines like blue, teal, a lot of the different colors are definitely more valuable than the just regular clear, because you'd have to pay extra to get your medicine bottles in different colors. But the first thing, you want to find blown bottles. And what I mean are either blown or blown in mold. And what I mean by that is you'll see the seam stops right here at the neck of the bottle, and that's because when they were blowing it, they would have to make the top separate. So that's how you can tell your older bottles from your newer bottles. A lot of the newer bottles, the seam goes all the way up to the top. So we're going to start over here on the left. We have a Warner and Company. Of course, this is a more common bottle, but just any druggist in brown, blue, teal, purple, any of them odd colors normally fetch more money than just regular clear. That's what I've always come to realize. And of course, the blue ones and the green ones are always the most sought after. And next, here we have, this one's kind of a different one. This one's from a sanitarium, so that's another thing to look out for. Sanitarium and hospital bottles. Same thing with like this one down here, and you're like, damn, you got a milk bottle, that's not that old. But it is a hospital bottle, and a lot of hospital bottles are worth a lot more than just regular milk bottles. A lot of people like to collect them. I'm a collector myself and have a bunch of different pieces, so a lot of people like to collect hospital bottles. So we're going to move back over here to the left. We have this beautiful chestnut druggist from Philadelphia. like I said, beautiful blue color. You'd have to pay extra for the blue. Same thing with the Citra Magnesia. Most of the time you find these and they just say Citra Magnesia on them, but if you can ever find them embossed, definitely pick those up because those are good pieces to get. They're very rare, and I've only seen a handful of them in my life. So if you get a chance to pick them up and they don't say Citra Magnesia, they have a name of a pharmacy on them, definitely try to get them if you can get them for the right price. Another thing is pictorial meds. Anything with pictures or anything interesting written on them, a lot of people collect those. And the last thing to knock it all out of the park, we have early meds. Flat bottom, Ponold, rolled lip, anything early, any of the early meds, that people love to collect those. So just another thing that people like to collect, just the medicine bottles. Alright guys, last but not least, we are on our last section of bottles. We got just early bottles in general. Anything old is good to collect. Here we have a early medicine. Of course it's blue like we talked about earlier, the blue color, the flat bottom, squared lip, just beautiful color, something very sought after. Another thing, but you're gonna have to do research, is blob beers. There's very many of them. There's so many of them, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of different blob beers. Some go for $10, some go for $1,000. Your best bet is to do your research. Same thing with blob sodas, but I can tell you, blob sodas are definitely a lot more rare. I've only found a few blob sodas in my life. I've dug a lot more blob beers versus blob sodas. Of course, the area you're in will play a big factor in that. If you're down south, they have a lot more blob beers, a lot more blob sodas versus up north, where they updated the bottle machines quicker. Another thing, squat sodas. A lot of people like these. They can be pontled. They have just this distinct squat style. That's why people like them, and they're very early. And also we have pontled bottles. Anything with a pontle, you can see on the bottom where they snap the glass rod off. Of course you want to make sure that they're real. They have fake pontled bottles that are modern. Normally you can tell because they just look primitive. They'll have a rainbow, they'll have bubbles in them, they just look old. But yeah, pontled bottles, if you can get any pontled bottle for a decent price, normally they always fetch money, especially if they're embossed. And then last but not least, we have stoneware. Normally any type of stoneware is old. Of course, you see a lot of the stoneware is from England. So if you do come across any stoneware from America, normally I've always seen it fetch more than like $100 and up, typically. Now that I could be wrong in some cases on some other more common bottles, but most of the ones I've seen that are American, they're like $100 and up. Oh yeah, and embossed flasks. How could I forget embossed flasks? These, like I said, I've only dug one in my life. They're very rare, very hard to find. If you're digging privies, you'll get a lot of them. But if you can get the right one at the right price, they can be very valuable, especially the ones in different colors like brown and like aqua ones, pinkish ones. Even some of the clear ones can be worth a lot of money, so that's another big thing. Alright, and just a little bonus section for you. This is just something quick I wanted to touch on. We have bitters bottles, and depending on the area you have, they have many different types. Bitters was pretty much like a beverage that they made that was supposed to be more for like sophisticated men. It was supposed to not be like a whiskey or a bourbon. It's supposed to be like, I'm going out with a bitters with the men, it's supposed to be like a sophisticated type of thing. So a lot of people collect those, but depending what area you're in would depend on what kind of bitters bottles you have. Of course, most commonly here we have like JCB Siegert. He has like Angostura like this one, or he hosts bitters like this one. He made a couple of them. And then we also have Brown's Iron Bitters. It's another common one for this area. So depending on which area you have, they have multiple different ones. But I just want to thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for subbing. And go get you guys some bottles. Have a good day.